everybody, to the Why Are We Like That podcast with all of us, me, Alex, Hunter, the three dumbest best friends in the world. We're just going to be shooting the shit, talking about whatever topic we decided to talk about today, and just go.
But you know the topic we talked
Nuh-uh.
about today.
I wasn't told. I was left in the dark.
Liar.
Yeah, I'm lying. Yeah, so today
No,
we're
you
actually
were.
going to talk about D&D stuff, because these boys are really into D&D. I play with them. I got into D&D because of Alex. And yeah, so what do you got locked and loaded for us today, Alex?
Well, I mean, for those that don't know, just especially like those that are new to it, D&D stands for Dungeons and Dragons. It's some people may not know. You don't know them. Fuck you.
A lot of people I talk to that I say D&D, they're like, what's D&D?
Yeah. Dungeons and Dragons is a tabletop game that you play. You generally gather around the table, play with your friends, roll dice. It's a role-playing game. Sounds very nerdy, and it is very nerdy, but it's very fun. And gets a bad rap, unfortunately. But I feel like in this day and age, like it's become a lot.
It's more in the pop culture scene than it was before.
Yeah,
It's a game for
Like-
Satanists.
dude, that I'm gonna give a shout out to a different podcast I'm obsessed with, the Time Suck, by Dan Cummins.
Mm-hmm.
He did one on the history of D&D, just a deep dive into the whole thing. I didn't realize
watch that
there
one.
was an actual murder and stuff that happened in some dumb, not even part of the force detective investigating this murder. And he just was like, oh yeah, he played D&D. They did lamb sacrifices in the basement of his high school. And turns out the kid was just depressed and just didn't want to go back to school or to his house because it was abusive. And he just left. But this guy made this whole thing, and that started the whole satanic panic shit over D&D.
I fucking love Dan Cummins. I gotta go watch that episode. Yeah, but so being as this, we just kind of talk about the shit we like and everything. We thought we'd talk a little bit about Dungeons and Dragons, to make it easier, especially for Ty, who's still. Because we could go around and talk about how long we've been doing it. I have been playing Dungeons and Dragons for fucking 12 years now.
I didn't realize it was that long.
Well, I struggle to say 12 years because the first 4 years was starting and stopping a campaign, and I never really got to finish one. I didn't really finish a campaign, which is just usually a marvel of a thing anyway, until 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Four.
Well, it didn't
so I've been
help
playing
that
for a
a
long
lot
time,
of the
but I've
campaigns
never-
you were doing were super long and in depth, and people just
True.
either moved away or couldn't start doing
True.
it or couldn't keep doing it because they got a different job. Shit, like the one that we were doing in 29, Clavania. That one just kind of fell off because we kept losing players, and at the end it was just my brother Hunter.
I moved.
Me, and then you moved, and yeah, it just all went to shit.
Yeah, but I've been a dungeon. I started as a dungeon master, which is not recommended for anyone looking.
I was
to
gonna
gain
say that's
wisdom.
ass backwards as fuck.
Oh, it was rough. But I got into it with some friends that I had worked with. They taught me the 2nd edition, and then I quickly moved to 5th edition, and have done many campaigns, many players. I've gotten to play as a player a couple times, but I'm kind of the resident forever DM. But how long have you been playing, Hunter?
I think about 5 years now. Since the first campaign we finished was 4 years ago. 5 or 6 years now.
I'd say it's like 7 because Clovania that he was talking about was like 2 years before Disney.
Yeah, that would make it 5 or 6. 4 plus 2
you're
is
right,
6.
So 6.
Come on, man.
My bad.
It's basic math.
You play
Basic
D&D,
math.
you can't do math.
Yeah, I know.
We didn't add decibels and fucking fractions
we had
and
a
shit in
weekend
there.
of D&D, so I'm already brain dead.
Well, I was definitely the typical guy of like, oh, D&D's for fucking nerds. It's stupid and dweebs. And then I went over to your house when you were living with my brother, or when my brother was living with you guys, and gave it a shot. And it was fun. It was cool. I was engaged enough to keep going back. And then I played that one for, I would say, about a year, maybe. And then after that, I took a big hiatus on D&D. I just didn't play anymore until me and my wife moved out here. And then,
well, it was also it was hard. Like trying to get that schedule together.
And every time you guys met was it was an hour and a half drive for me. So I was just like, nah, I'm not in it.
I know there was like a couple times we tried to work it out. Like, hey, you drive down here, or I'll drive down there. Like But it's a rough drive, and you have to make sure the session's worth it at that point.
Yeah.
Like, so it's not like you can just have like a quick like 4 or 3 hour session, because it's like I just drove like the whole day to get here.
Yeah, exactly. And then once we moved out here, I did one session with our buddy where he DM'd, and then I did.
Is that the Star Wars campaign?
Oh yeah, we did do one session of a Star Wars campaign where our buddy was the DM. I
wish we would have continued
that one was scuffed because you guys instantly went into, you know what, I'm just gonna start a drug ring and be a criminal empire and have nothing to do with what the campaign's supposed to be about. But hey, whatever.
100%. There was a betrayal all in the first session.
Looking at you, Hunter. I did. What was it?
I didn't betray anybody.
Like 2 or 3 sessions when you first started the Disney campaign, and then didn't play for a while until Chronopolis came out, and we started playing that a good bit. And I've been on that.
By the way, all these names he's throwing out are like the homebrew campaigns.
Yeah, no, it's not like you're gonna go to a fucking Barnes and Noble. Oh, where's the Chronopolis mission book?
Yeah, so. The campaigns that I've ran like all had names because like I'm a writer. I like to write.
I was gonna say you're not a writer. Shut up.
I mean, I technically am. I've written 3 books. I just need to work on getting them published.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But yeah, I'm a writer. I'm just not an author.
What are they about?
That's a whole nother thing.
About?
They're fictional books that are like.
Tell me.
Not D&D related.
Tell me.
It's for another campaign.
Yeah.
Another episode. Oh God, that would be a fucked campaign to write. That would not be a world you'd want. You thought Clovania was bad.
No.
But the worlds that I created were Clovania. I made a campaign based on like the world of Disney. What else did I make? I made Chronopolis, which is basically the biggest project that I created, which was like several different campaigns all meshed into one, and it's just
Avengers Endgame mixed with D&D.
Yeah, it's been pretty scuffed. And then I'm working on another one called Elepanor. Speaking of, I didn't want to completely interrupt you, but now that I have, sorry. I have a why are you like that for Hunter.
Uh-oh, okay.
So, Hunter, why anytime there's some kind of forbidden fucking magic introduced into a campaign, do you just full send and betray your fucking team? We're talking blood magic, shadow magic, anything. You're just like, fuck it, fuck my team, I'm going for it.
It was one time.
It's been more than one time.
It is one time that I betrayed the group for blood magic.
For blood magic. But for other forbidden magics, you have betrayed the team for.
I have not.
Ryujin?
That's not forbidden magic. He wasn't granted forbidden magic.
Fucking forbidden.
And the reason he betrayed the group was justified. The group that they're following charged all his father's crimes, which he had no connection in, on him. Is that betrayal, or did they betray him?
I feel like your mic switched again. Is that just me, or
No, it's distorted, but it's not a big deal.
It's still my Blue Yeti. That one wasn't that I would say they betrayed me first.
fair?
It's not as bad
the
as
blood
some
magic
people that
one.
we played with that don't even roll an insight check on an obvious magical item that is not giving off good vibes to pick up, and they're just like, fuck it, and they grab it, and then 3 sessions later, now they have 4 days to live. Yeah. What the fuck did you expect?
We know. I have a worse one for you,
Are you dissing
Ty.
yourself on that
Hey,
one?
fuck you! I've only done it once.
Ty, I have a worse
Okay.
one for you. It's not as bad as a player literally talking to the dead person that has a hoard of gems, and the person saying, yeah, all of this is cursed, don't touch it, and then proceeds to go, I want to touch it.
Why does that sound
He
like
wasn't
Garrett?
there for that character. Because it probably would be.
It wasn't Garrett. But I would argue this player is worse than Garrett.
Anyway. But with all that explanation and that weird tangent, perfect first question, Ty. As a newcomer, or still being relatively new, I should say. Like, what are your honest thoughts about Dungeons and Dragons?
So,
Because we kind of have right before you get into it.
yeah,
we
fuck
kinda have
me,
like
right?
we kind of have like an interesting dynamic here. Like, we have like the person that's playing for like a long time, a person that's still like dipping his feet now into like dungeon mastering and getting like into like the veteran era, I guess. And then we have like the fresh like new player, like kind of trying to dip his toes
Fresh meat.
trying to dip his toes into dungeon mastering, becoming a player, getting his first campaign that's he's gone from level 1 to 20 into.
I will say, like, it's cool. I like it. It's fun. It's good escapism kind of thing. There are obviously, with everything, there's pros and cons. Pros are like, yeah, this is so cool. We get to be heroes and stuff like that and kill monsters and everything. But then the cons are, I've played a lot of Skyrim and Oblivion and all that stuff, and all those are just power fantasies. You grind your way to getting stronger and stronger, and then by the end of it, you're just wiping the walls with everything, right? D&D is not like that. You are constantly almost dying, stepping outside, just every time. And maybe it's just the campaigns that I've played that you've ran.
Well,
but
I mean, I will admit a lot of like some of it. I mean, I'm still learning to be a DM too. Like, I learn things every day, and I have more than taken my fair share of blame in power scaling.
yeah, like
of encounters.
But like it's definitely had its moments where like great storytelling to where I've legitimately cried like 3 times at a campaign because of how touching it was and wholesome. And then there were times that were just completely heartbreaking and devastating to where I've had to walk away from the table for a minute because I get too into my character and I'm him kind of thing. And it's that disconnect.
Right.
I can't turn it off. So when something devastating happens to my character, I should just role play and be like, oh, he's so sad. But instead, my actual brain is like, my uncle just fucking died in my arms. Oh my God. And then 10 minutes later, I'm like,
good.
okay, all right. Yeah, no, this is a game. What the fuck am I doing?
I would argue that's good role playing on your part.
I love when I have to take a step back and be like, bro, it's a game. Calm down. Like, chill. It's a fucking game. And like, there's obvious like certain dramas that happen between players and DMs and stuff. That's gonna happen with any kind of tabletop, online video games, anything. There's always gonna be bickering and fighting and people not seeing eye to eye on certain things. But for the most part, as somebody that has a lot of trouble verbally expressing what he's thinking and how he's feeling, it's a weird way to put it, but it's a good therapeutic way to try and learn stuff in D&D that I can implement into my own life. Because Alex can tell everybody I get in trouble all the fucking time in D&D for being like, oh yeah, well, that's cool. And he's like, you literally just had your arm cut off. That's cool. Yeah, it's cool. Just shove every emotion down and only feed into rage, anger, and killing monsters. But there's a lot more to role playing than that. And that's something that I have to figure out as a person and as a player, that disconnect. But it's fun. The math sucks. I hate math. I hate adding. Every time I'm like, so it's a D6 plus what? And every session I have somebody helping me out with stuff like that. Magic can go fuck itself. I hate it. I hate the math. I hate how brokenly strong every magic thing is. I hate certain mechanics. Like one that I'm constantly bitching to you about is the disengage in combat. Like if I'm fighting a guy face to face and I see my buddy over here get hit and he goes down to a knee, I'm obviously not going to look at this guy, turn and run that way. I'm obviously going to take a couple steps back so he can't hit me and go over there. But because I didn't use the word disengage, he gets an opportunity attack. That rule can go to hell. Other than that, I love it.
I know you hate this rule, but it's the you have to look at it from the perspective of like the game mechanics, and that's the hard part of it. Is each turn, your turn, everything that you do happens in 6 seconds.
Yeah, no, I know. So I just don't like that I have to say I'm going to disengage. That's the dumb part.
Oh yeah, it's an action though.
The reason, you also gotta realize it too from the mechanics of classes, because it's an action for some people, but like for rogues, it's a bonus action. So if you take away that disengage and just say, "Hey, everyone can disengage," and they move, you're taking away a vital part of another class.
Well, and not only that, the reason like that part is so big is because like let's say you don't say you're disengaging, and they go for that attack of opportunity. There are feats in the game designed so that you can lock down people from being able to like move. Like there's like the Sentinel feat that allows you to like attack them, and if you hit them, like they can't move for the rest of their turn, stuff like that. But that's getting into like
I still stand by it's stupid.
That's and I respect your opinion, my friend. There we go. You know what? Fuck it. Like let's do that. The fucking first question of the day. Well, what is your most hated rule? Ty has already answered.
Disengaging.
Obviously. So Hunter,
it's so dumb.
What is your most what is a rule that you just do not like?
So I'm not gonna lie. We changed this as DMs.
Mm-hmm.
My hated rule is that natural ones and natural 20s.
Mm-hmm.
I know we've had extensive talks about this. I don't like that in basic rules they're not absolute.
You want to explain what natural 20s and natural ones are?
So natural 20 and natural ones. I think I actually have one near me. I do. So there's a 20-sided die. And if you
the fact that you guys have these pieces of shit at the ready it says a lot.
We just had D&D last night.
We just had D&D last night, so I have them all still on my desk. I haven't cleaned them up.
Oh,
so basically,
I'm a dice goblin. Where's my camera?
I am as well.
Oh, there's a pocket watch in there.
That's a
Hold on.
pocket watch.
I was like,
in
that's
there.
not a dice. But
This is just a small handful of what's on my desk.
So basically,
make me happy.
They go by different names. Different groups use different names. I've seen them on TikTok and stuff like be called different. So we call them natural and soft. Natural 20s are like when you roll a 20 on the actual die itself, or a 1 on the die itself. And in original D&D rules, means nothing. It's just, you take that number and you still add all your stuff to it.
Only on ability checks, to clarify. Which I won't go
into. Is it in
into.
combat they're fine?
Yeah, combats mean, like, a natural 20 is a guaranteed hit with a critical.
Oh, I didn't know it was that in combat. But basically, like, it sucks to get that 1 in 20 chance to get, like, that best possible outcome, and it can still mean nothing. Like, by rules is written.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I prefer the rule that, like, we do, where it's like, if you roll a natural 1 or a natural 20, it's the best or worst possible outcome that your character could feasibly do.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with that. I think in the community, that's a pretty sought after rule, because I know like D&D is redoing like into a D&D 1 kind of thing, and they've recently changed the rule as an optional rule or whatever, that like natural 20s means like the best outcome to the best of your ability. So, or guaranteed success to the best of your ability. So, like, you can't be like, hey, I'm gonna kick this guy to the fucking moon, get a natural 20, and like that guy goes soaring like a rocket. But you kick him like 5 feet up in the air or something. Like, I don't know, depends on the DM.
This is another one that kind of just annoys me, just because, like, this is just aesthetic. There's two things that annoy me, and they're just like aesthetic things, which is the way dual wielding works, and the way like arcane focuses for some classes work.
this is just complete gibberish to me.
Like,
so if you guys aren't understanding any of it, you're not
Try to
alone.
explain which.
So, like, dual wielding obviously is pretty explanatory, holding 2 swords, and an arcane focus is for, like, as Ty, the one who hates them, mages use to harness their spells, so they don't have to have like a bunch of items on them to cast spells.
I want that to change. I want spell users to have to carry a bunch of shit for all their different spells. Just look like an Adeptus Mechanicus from Warhammer. They just got all this shit hanging off them. One hand they're holding that like, smoking metal thing they use in Catholic churches and shit.
Or I know what it's called. Sensor.
This hand they have like a rabbit's head and shit, and they're just like, I cast fireball. Yeah, that'd be funny as shit.
Because, like, for example, there's a class in D&D called a Blade Singer, which is basically a spell sword. They use a sword and magic. It makes me mad that they still have to use their spell book as their arcane focus rather than like a sword, so they can hoard a sword and their book. Like, I don't know why that just like makes me a little annoyed. That like you can't change the in base rules the form of your arcane focus.
I mean, if you're the DM,
of your spellcaster focus,
yeah,
you could.
I mean, I think
if you're the DM, you can, and most DMs that I've experienced generally do.
I mean, I'd like to think like, and you two can correct me if I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
But I'd like to think. Fair enough. All right. Well, that's the end of the show, guys. Good night. No, I'd like to think like my viewpoint of my campaigns are like, I don't want to break the story, of course, because like I want to give you guys a challenge and like a good story that's full of like ups and downs. But at the end of the day, like I try to give you guys the customization of your character that you really want, even if it goes against the rules, just not as long as it's not like too far.
I want to be uncircumcised in my campaign.
That's a choice that has nothing to do with the rules.
Yep. Doesn't happen in Baldur's Gate either, but I can do it in Baldur's Gate 3. Yeah.
But no, I'd like to think that like
Yeah.
the most important. Fuck you! I'm trying to think of my words. All right. I try to like. God damn it. Is this how we're starting the morning,
This
Ty?
is how we're starting the morning.
Fuck you. I'd like to think that I have my best interest of my players at heart. Like that is more important to me than being like, according to page 175 of the rules, you
You're
can't
absolutely
do
wrong.
that.
I cannot
I'm kidding.
Too enlightened.
I cannot stand,
kidding.
and I've had a couple people like this in campaigns that I've played with you guys. The guys that are like, I am gonna live, eat, sleep, and breathe this fucking player's handbook.
So-
and anything that diverts from this player's handbook is heresy of the highest order and shall be persecuted by the full extent of the law. And I hate it.
My main problem.
Don't
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Hunter.
No, go ahead, Alex.
My main problem with those those kinds of people are, they are like, they uphold the rule to the highest order until it does not benefit them. And then they're like, well, you let this person do it. And it's like, well, you've been quoting the whole rule book. Like, what do you mean?
And maybe you can attest that I'm wrong, Alex, because I've done this. I know I've done this to you multiple times. I'll fuck us if it means like telling you how a rule works, because you'll be like, I don't know how that works, and I'll be like, hey, technically it would fuck them, and you're like, oh, because like I'll admit it. I just randomly go look at stuff through the books.
Well, Hunter,
randomly.
I'm gonna completely expose you for a minute.
Oh,
Hunter
no.
had like a hot minute, like this, and it wasn't in the beginning, and it's not now. It was just randomly in the middle, all of a sudden, where Hunter became like the biggest fucking rules lawyer.
Yeah.
That like, and like the part that pissed me off was not the rules lawyering part, but he straight up in one of my encounters during the battle said, hey, I went and looked up the stat block for this character, this thing.
Yeah,
and
I
they
was
can't
wrong for
do
that
that.
one.
And I was like, excuse me? Or he would like, because we use D&D Beyond because it's a very good tool for beginners and like intermediate people to just kind of quickly plug and play. And in the website, they have a calculator for encounters, which is like your combat and stuff, where you can plug the monsters in, plug the level and amount of players you have, and it will tell you like if the encounter is good or not, or if it's going to be deadly. And there was an encounter where Hunter
just
put
so
the
everyone
monster
knows
in
as well,
against you
Alex's
guys.
calculator's broken because he always tells us, oh,
100%.
this is a challenge rating of 2, and it just team wiped a full team of like level 7s or 8s.
Okay, hold on.
And then blames us for the encounter.
Hold on, there have been encounters.
You guys were
that
working
you
as a
guys-
team. Fuck you.
Yeah, 100%. Okay, hold on.
I just rolled a nat
I'm
20,
defend myself.
hit it in the
I'm
face,
gonna fucking
and
defend
it's still
myself.
not dead.
I'm gonna defend myself. Shut up. You guys went into an encounter of like 4 or 5 skeletons at level 7, and I told you, hey, there's like 3 archers over there taking
level
pot
5.
shots at you guys, and you guys said, I'm gonna go over here and hit this dude. All of
By
you.
the way,
Your
we
healer
were level
didn't
5.
cast one. Okay, level 5 still. Your healer did not cast one healing spell.
Yeah, he fucking sucked as a healer.
You guys all ganged up on the same people while they're just sitting there just
I was a wizard. I died first turn.
boop. And you guys
I got
are like,
one spell
why
off.
did we die?
I got
Because
one
you
spell
fucking
off.
didn't go after them.
I got one spell off before everyone said, hey, that's a wizard. Let's focus him.
Obviously,
And then I
'cause
got
in
bodied.
this situation, he's
No.
talking about that we did this a few months ago, and I'm the paladin in the group. Obviously, I'm the tankier one. I can take more hits and I can deal out some good damage. I'm gonna
you can
go
heal.
for the guy that is just destroying us with his magic.
All I'm saying.
I didn't say, hey, I need backup attacking this guy. He's not dying.
But you also didn't say, hey, go attack this. And you're the designated team leader. So everyone is just kind of like, we're going to follow the leader. Yeah.
He's not wrong.
You're wrong.
I'm not wrong.
No.
And that's why you did that long, exacerbated sigh. But no, I that being said though, I do admit like there's been some encounters that I've been like, oh, I think they can handle this, and then we get into it and I'm like, they could not handle this. But I will say a lot of your guys' character deaths also happen from just pure stupidity, like the wizard not moving in an entire combat
encounter. I thought I was in cover. I did not realize how high the beholder was.
Or our artificer throwing the table the opposite way and taking cover parallel. To the beholder.
To be fair, I don't think he realized the beholder was attacking. He was more focused on the guy shooting at him. He's like, oh, I'm going to just put this table here and pretend we're in a shootout from a 1980s action movie. And then he's just got some behemoth of a beast next to him that's like, yeah, I'm going to just...
So, but I mean, like, with that, and you can't really attest for this yet, Ty, because you haven't been in that campaign yet.
I can attest to it.
Okay, then you can answer it, but I guarantee you can't. Hunter has been in a campaign that he's finished start to finish with me, and I would like to think, like, through all the bullshit that you have to deal with, like, the end is generally a good payoff.
I have been in 2 technically that have finished start to end.
True.
Not all of one of them was a good end. The other was not.
Well, and I think that's the great thing about D&D is it's not a guaranteed good ending. Like,
well, and I think it depends on what the character and the player.
My algebra bees are really bad. I got this sniffles.
I believe it. I personally believe that the ending depends on the character as well as the player's mentality in that character's view. Mm-hmm. So, like, for Clavania, the first character, I think he had the best ending he could have for Acheron.
Yeah.
Whereas the second one, not so much.
Well.
So the end of the world.
Yeah. But I would say, like, the Disney campaign had, like, a very good ending.
A good ending.
And, yeah. I mean, you guys went through some hard encounters in that campaign, but at the end, like, we're made to feel very powerful. Like, I agree with your previous statement, Ty, like, where Skyrim and all those are just power fantasies. You know, you're the Dragonborn, you're the chosen one. Like, you go out into the world and fuck shit up. And I feel like a lot of people go into D&D with that mentality of,
the video game mentality.
Yeah, like, whatever I do is going to be, like, I'm going to become the leader of everything, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. And it's like, no, well, you can, but you don't start off like that. You do not just get handed the fucking keys to the mage's tower because the mage died, and it was just like, yep, he's the leader now.
Well,
but
I think he should.
Well, I think you're wrong.
And I think that also opens the door to stuff that might honestly not be the case. Like, out-of-the-box experiences. Because I know you didn't expect my character to go 1v1 somebody.
No. But I think that's also the beauty of D&D is, like, where you can go to something like Skyrim or Fallout or whatever, like, RPG you want to play and have this power fantasy where, like, you have the ending you want, you get to pick the ending, like this and that, you can look up guides to it. Mm-hmm. You go to D&D because it's not a power fantasy. Like, you're escaping your real world and into a fantasy world where you don't know the story,
and it's
you don't know
just as much of a struggle as real life sometimes.
Yeah, but in a different way, I would argue. Like, it's not like a struggle like, oh my God, like, I can't pay my bills and shit. It's like a struggle.
But
like,
it's a struggle of I've spent multiple days and hours on pretending to be this character and grind to level up and get stronger. And then he just fucking dies.
But
Just dies.
There's like a certain beauty to that, I think. Like, I've had characters that have died. Hunter's had characters that have died. You have characters that have died. And, like, depending on the DM, of course, like, as a DM, I don't like to underplay. And I don't know any DM that does. So, like, before someone goes into the comments and is like, bleh, like, I don't know any DM that does this, but this is just my opinion. I don't ever underplay a player's death unless they're stupid. Like, if they blatantly just like fucking kill themselves, then sure. But like, if like there's a player that sacrifices himself, if there's a player that just dies from a mishappenstance, I don't try to ever underplay that. Like, I try to make that like a big deal, and then I try to also turn that into a stepping stone for the group. Like, I know you guys can attest for this when your paladin died in Chronopolis 1, and I'm talking about Florian and not Ryle. Like, that was a huge moment for you guys of just like, what the fuck happened? Like, and it made you guys mad, and you guys wanted to go and like avenge her and all that.
And I think the best one, because this showed, I think this put a lesson finally in Ty that you were trying to instill for a while, which is the silencer fight in Chronopolis with Yevlo. Because, like,
There's so many words
fighting
that the viewers are just gonna be like, what?
Or, like, basically a group of people that were against us.
A bunch of rogues.
Yeah. Like, it taught Ty, hey, I need to retreat sometimes, because he saw two of his people go down within 2 turns. One of them dropped within a turn.
But that's the beauty of D&D, and kind of the crutch of D&D, I think, is like the DM can put on the best campaign ever, but it can still be shit if they have shit players. And vice versa. The players can put an amazing story forth and amazing characters and still have a shitty campaign because they have a shit DM. It's one of those games where all parties have to be involved and have to be like caring about the campaign to make it something magical. And that was what the Disney campaign was for me, and that's what the Chronopolis campaign is becoming for me, is because like Chronopolis 1 was a shit show, and I think we can all agree on that.
100%.
Where, you know, players and the DM were constantly fighting, and that's on me too. But like, players didn't want to play their characters correctly, and I use that as like they were just blatantly acting out of character, not like, oh, you're playing your character wrong. Like, they didn't want to role play; they just wanted to kind of sit there and be mad and, you know, whatever. And it was like the DM started getting mad too. Like, I was just like, all right, fuck you guys. Like, I don't like, why am I working on this story if you guys aren't going to play it? And now we kind of restarted, and I feel like the group and the DM, all of us are in a much better place right now. Like, we still have our issues we're kind of ironing out, but they're very minor in my opinion. Like, last session was super fun in my eyes. I don't know about your guys' eyes. To where like there was a little bit of horror, but that you guys were like talking to each other, and that's kind of the thing about D&D, right? Is like, it's a story that is built on both sides.
Yeah.
Did you not agree?
No. I just, yeah.
No, usually when you go, you're like, fuck you.
No, I have the sniffles. My allergies are fucking dumb right now.
Don't be a
Mine
bitch.
are too.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah. That long-winded explanation just for I never answered my rule, I guess. Yeah, I know. Fuck you. The dumbest rule that I don't like, that I changed, It's not really like a rule of the game, but more of a rule of a spell. I don't like the spell compelled duel. I think it's very like what's the word? Like it leads you to think something that it's
Misleading.
not. Misleading. Thank you. Look, man, I'm still waking up too. I'm allowed to wake up.
What the fuck?
Like when you think of a spell called like compel duel, you think like, okay, I'm calling the 1v1, and if you fail this spell save, which is like a dice rule that I won't go into right now to bore the players, but if you fail this spell
To bore the
like,
players
or bore the, god damn it,
the viewers.
bore the viewers. If you fail the spell, it sounds like, all right, you and me, we're fighting, and there's nothing else like anyone can do. But what really the spell is like, hey, if you fail it, like if you go to attack anyone else, like you suck at rolling. And so like in my campaign, I re-rolled it or re-ruled it to be like, hey, if you call this like this thing, like it creates like a circle that only you and that person can fight in. And like I've seen it create some pretty cool scenes for people, whether on the player side or the NPC side, where like it really creates kind of this high tense stakes moment of like, all right, this fight, there's nothing we can do. Like obviously you could still like make the magic go away with other spells, but
Counterspell.
dispel magic, yeah,
Counterspell.
all that kind of stuff.
Counterspell would have to be done as it's being cast, not after it's already done.
But like I like to flavor it that like whoever casts it like the ring looks like whatever their character's aesthetic is. So like for someone like Ryle, it'd be like golden swords, or like maybe like a tribal circle of like a tribal dueling circle. I don't know. We'd have to play that like in character, but I just seen that was a rule that I rewrote that I think really kind of helped flavor something better for paladins, especially where they want to be the.
I think my favorite aesthetic one was Jonathan's, being Eldritch Knight.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was just all different weapons stopping them from fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I can do
Kai,
that too.
you look bored out of your mind.
I like I told you guys before we started recording this episode is I don't have a lot to give to this conversation just because I've only played a little bit, and I don't eat, sleep, and breathe D&D as much as you guys do. So I don't have the same amount of experience and examples and shit. I don't even have the same amount of jokes to riff off of on this episode because of it, but I'm interested in listening. I'm one of the viewers. Yeah.
Well, you're not supposed to be one of the viewers.
Fuck.
We'll just move on to the next question then. What is your guys' favorite creature in D&D?
Mimics.
Why?
Because they're funny as hell, and the constant suspense of anything in this world can actually just be a man-eating monster is the funniest thing in the world. I think it's hilarious. And it could be from a treasure chest to like a potion bottle to like a random log stump that you find out in the woods. And
the most dick move of a DM, make their healing potion a mimic.
I saw it on TikTok.
I've done that.
I don't know how you would get them, but this person was talking about getting baby or little mimics and basically just tying them to a bow and arrow and just firing little monsters that would eat you at each other. That'd be
one of my
funny as
favorite
hell.
jokes is just we walked into the bar and the bartender looked at the party and says, "Well, what's up with all the weapons?" And the party goes, "Oh, mimics." And the bartender laughed. We laughed. The table laughed. We killed the table.
So dumb.
Yeah, 100%. But I like it. It's funny.
My favorite meme is the mimic that's a tankard, the barbarian who's intimidated it to stay as the tankard, so it can finish its drink.
That's nice. Now he's got a pet.
I had a pet mimic once.
That's ridiculous. That is ridiculous.
Yeah, it was great.
Do you have a leash on it?
You had a pet mimic in my campaign. As Solaire.
Oh, yes, you're right.
Because remember, you found it in a basement.
He raised it, made it his own, fed it until it got big and strong.
And then one of you had a cloak and didn't realize that was also a mimic.
Nice.
What's your favorite creature, Hunter?
So my favorite creature isn't... I couldn't pick like one creature, so I picked a class of creatures, which is the Celestial class. And it's only because I like... This isn't how they're actually run, but I like to reskin like certain ones to be like apostles and messengers or fighters of the gods.
Oh,
that instead
so
of
like angels and shit.
Yeah, so instead of the gods just coming to the players and being like, hey, fuck you guys, it's like, hey, I'm going to send my angels, my apostles, and then I'll come and fight. Because I like the fact of like, I feel like celestials aren't used a lot.
I would agree.
But I feel like the gods themselves are just, hey, I'm here.
Yeah, I know I haven't used celestials too much.
I know like priests are the most used, but that's kind of like, I still think that's kind of like, oh, like you have your priest. In most of our campaigns, at least, you have your priest of like a god, and then you just meet the god next. And it's like, where's the build up to like, where's his angels? Where's his apostles? Where's like his champion or his recently deceased champion, or where his current champion?
I agree with that.
So, like, I think the only time you ever get that build up is like when a character is involved with the god. Like I know with like Ryle. We got to meet, we met Ryle, which is, like, his growing champion. Then we met his generals. And then we met his god.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
What's your favorite creature, Alex?
So I have two. One is, like, a unofficial, like, it was in another, like, it wasn't made by Wizards of the Coast, but I fucking loved it because I found it on like TikTok. The first one is an official one, which is the Shadow. It is literally.
Oh my god!
It is literally.
I hate the shade.
It is literally just a shadow that saps your strength from you and can kill you that way. It's just I think it's a very like good tool to like use in a horror situation. Like there in Clavania, I made like an entire town terrified of like light. So they like boarded up the windows.
Okay.
And like when the heroes walked in, they were like,
is that
like,
the side quest that we did where Ryle just brought the roof down and accidentally killed like 4 pedestrians?
100%.
Yep.
Nice.
100%.
But
You're not the first one to do that.
I don't know if you remember, like you guys felt like you were being hunted, but whenever you like looked, you never saw anything. And then it was like you would get too close to an object that casted a shadow and you'd get like hit. And it was like, what the fuck? And like you guys couldn't figure it out for the longest time. And then it was like, oh, okay, now we're fighting shadows. The other one, and these are both just horrific creatures, but the other one that was like one of my favorites, and it's because I hate these creatures in real life. It's called it's either a corpse spider or a tomb spider.
Corpse spider.
But it's a spider that like resumes in like tombs and like crypts that has a skull for an abdomen, but more importantly, it speaks common. So in like layman's terms, it speaks English.
That's horrific.
100%. And that's how it like lures people into its nest. Is like it's like, oh, help me.
It's just a skinwalker, but it's a spider instead of.
But and then it can like puppet like corpses that it's taken over. But the horrific part is if you kill that corpse, it just turns into a horde of little spiders So like it's literally
like
just
a wolf
fucking,
spider. How wolf spiders have their
essentially
babies on their back or whatever.
It's the most horrific encounter, but it's made for some pretty good encounters. Well, that's my favorite creatures. I tend to go more towards like the horror side of things.
Especially all three of us going off of this. Mine is basic as shit because I haven't really. I personally, I haven't witnessed a lot of like creatures that are in the D&D books. A lot of them are like homebrew, random shit that instead of your generic zombie or mummy or spider or skeleton, it. Other than that, all I've really ran into is like a beholder once, a dragon a couple times, and
So you
that's about it. Like, there's been a lot of people, like a lot of different like NPCs and people that I've had to fight, but not like creatures.
But you've also been in campaigns like for some reason where the team just does not explore. They go straight for the main mission and like
because everything out there wants to kill us. Why would I want to divert from the path and die before I even get to my actual mission?
I mean, that's fair.
That's one thing that's underused, and I'm not talking shit on you as a DM because I've only played in your games and I love them, but the constant fear of dying and that there's no fun, it's all serious, is
that's not true.
Very prevalent, except for like one or two sessions here and there sprinkled without.
Hold on. So we'll take Chronopolis for example, which is like, there's a lot of dangers in that world. But there's never been one time where I've been like, hey, what do you guys want to do? And you guys like, can we just go find some bandits to fight? You guys are always like, let's go to this place where we have to cross this very dangerous land to get to there. And we'll go there. And then like you go through the land and experience these horrific things. And you guys are like, how could this have happened to us? And it's like, you chose that path. There was never hey, like, let's just go fucking fight some bandits to get some money and gear.
A lot of your defenses on things remind me of that meme where the guy's riding the bike and then just throws the stick in his own
stick in your own spoke. And then, or it's the Eric Andre meme where he shoots Hannibal Barris and then it's like, I can't believe this happened. And it's like, you pulled the trigger.
See, and I feel like the non-exploring, because like, Ty, you struggle with this a lot, I know. When you don't want to explore, it's not fun for both the players or the DM. Because now becoming a DM myself, I'm starting to learn this a little bit more. You don't explore, the DM doesn't get to show you what he's written.
You guys only get to see the horrific big shit.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to lie, one of my favorite sessions was us just exploring the fucking city of Chronopolis. Rather than going through, like, the desert or going through this place or going through, like, the Deadlands. Like, I like exploring, and it's really hard when the other people in the team don't want to. Because then it's like, okay, I'll kind of just stay on the straight and narrow, and it definitely stagnates characters as well.
The thing is, my biggest thing against it is just we're constantly in the fear of everything being stronger than us and wanting to kill us. Why in the fuck am I going to go this way and die over here before I actually get to my mission?
And that's something you need to get over, because that doesn't just stagnate you, especially in a game like Chronopolis where you're the team leader. It stagnates everybody, because now, like, for example, a bard can't really play to their character because it's like, oh, I don't have anywhere I can do my stuff. Or like where you thrive on fighting and combat, there's players that don't thrive on that section and instead thrive on the role play.
I don't know,
and if they can't explore
combat.
No.
If they can't explore, they can't thrive in their area. So like by not exploring, you stagnate the party's growth.
Look, I'm not here to say like anyone's right or wrong, but you're wrong.
Thanks.
No, you're welcome. No, but like I don't want this to turn into like a hey, like you're a bad player, or you're a bad DM, or whatever. Like the fact of the matter is, like the party you're with up until recently has never once just been like, hey, let's take things slow. And that was like a huge problem in Chronopolis 1 too, which was there was some things that were out of all of our control with the scheduling and the move and all that shit. Like the pacing got fucked. But yeah, like think about the missions you guys have taken. You've never once been like, hey, let's just go see if we can fucking find like a bandit camp to take out, or let's go.
We're
Do
getting
something
our ass
small.
handed to us by skeletons. Why in the fuck do
Yeah.
I want to go to a bandit camp? There's way more than like 4 bandits in that camp.
But now you have smarter players in your group. That
do we?
Like,
do we? I'm pretty sure we're all still really dumb.
Disagree, because the 3 of us survived the Banshees.
The what?
The Banshees? In the skull, Alex.
The Banshees.
Where the only dumb player died.
I muted myself. Sorry. The wraiths.
Wraiths.
The wraiths and the
up
mummies.
on that ledge or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, we survived that.
Okay.
Only one of us went down.
We were getting our asses handed to us. You had to have a candle help you fight.
But the point is, because we fought smarter, we won the fight.
Barely. Fucking
Barely still a win.
Barely still a win, dude.
Oh, man.
Anyway, let's move on to the fucking next question before this turns into a full-blown argument. Favorite magic item you have ever seen in a campaign? Ty, you've seen magic items in your campaign. Don't shrug. Like
Really?
that.
Oh,
The problem
yeah,
is
I've
you don't
seen 'em.
fucking pay attention or write it down. So you just like, I had that? Oh.
I like, yeah, I've gotten a couple magic items and stuff like that, but I've never really like.
See, this is the other thing. Ty talks all this shit on me as a DM or the players, but he doesn't take notes and he doesn't pay the fuck attention.
I take notes. I have a notebook right here.
Show the notebook of your notes.
Okay.
Let's see that drawing you showed us on Friday.
No, we can't show that on the fucking podcast.
Let me see. These are my notes.
Case in point.
I drew a hot
Whereas
dog.
when me and Alex take notes, we have like 7 pages of notes.
Yeah, I'm not in school. I'm playing a game to have fun.
I take notes based on the character that I'm playing. If I'm a wizard, yeah, I'm going to take a fuck ton of notes. If I'm playing a barbarian, I take as little notes as possible.
I'm not taking a college course where I need to pass my finals to get my degree. I'm fucking playing a tabletop game.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying if you're not going to take notes and you're not going to pay attention, you can't complain about shit.
Well, no. There's also another thing you add. If you know, like, the reason I take so much notes, no matter what the character I'm playing, unless it was someone like Malo, who was just dumb as a bag of rocks, like, I know I have a bad memory, so I take these so that I can actually remember. Even if there's times I pay attention, and, like, I see what's going on, but because of my terrible memory, I'm like,
on me, I'm going to come to your house and light you guys on fire while you're asleep.
Maybe then Hunter will be warm.
maybe.
He's on fire standing next to you while you're on fire? God damn, I still can't get warm.
Let me ask you this, Ty, and I'll let it lie. How many fucking times do I have to remind you to pick your mist in the mornings?
All right.
When you have the class on your character sheet.
Yes, I don't have my character sheet up the whole time. Not all of us can have 2 monitors, Alex. So Yeah,
There's
it's
a
in
way
the
to fucking
background.
have multiple windows.
And we're
though.
on a video call. I want to see everyone's face and riff and
just-
play
You can
off
do
of
that.
that. And I'm not paying attention to the mist. I'm paying attention to what's happening right here, right now. What's going on? What am I going to do next? How are we going to do this? I'm not like, I got to pick this and make sure I'm ready for a combat encounter in 6
It's like
hours.
the whole point of the beginning of the day, though, is to prepare for the fight. Anyway,
My
magic item.
My favorite magical item so far has been Atreus, and that's just because it was something really cool to play off of as Ryle as a character. For those listening, Atreus was a character from one of Alex and Hunter's older campaigns with a couple other buddies, and he died and ended up being put in the sword, so his soul is in this sword, and Ryle went and picked it up, and this character was just a bloodthirsty mess that wanted everything that had ever farted in a fancy restaurant to die because it's evil. And Ryle as a character wanted to basically show him that not everything needs to die, that it was basically just a good character arc and character growth for Ryle, with this monster basically being trapped in this sword, becoming a good friend of Ryle's and stuff like that. And Ryle is a Leonin, a lion person paladin that I play in the campaign we're going through right now, Chronopolis. Hunter, what's yours?
That's it. So mine is similar to yours, just because of the person that it came from and like my love for the story. In the Disney campaign, I was playing a son of King Arthur, and I love the story of Camelot, King Arthur, Merlin, all the Excalibur, all that stuff.
Like the real story, or like Disney's version of it?
Both.
Oh.
Like, but basically, my character was the prince of Camelot. So he and his sister both got blades that were similar to Excalibur, but like the next version of it. And so when my character became king, he got like a full-on, it was called Calibris. And it was basically another version of Excalibur. So like the only part I didn't like it was like Excalibur from another one who constantly insulted me.
Nice.
But like it was cool because like it was a sentient blade of a king. And it was granted to me by like basically there was a dragon in that campaign that chose the kings. So he basically granted the blade as like, hey, I'm acknowledging you as the next king. Even though I didn't get to use it much. That or Molo's necklace. Basically, it was a necklace that allowed him, he was basically the son of Elsa and the spirits from the movie Frozen 2. And basically in the necklace there was 5, it was a snowflake, and each one held a different element. And then allowed him to basically change into the base elements and then combine elements to make new ones. So like he could combine fire and earth, and I think it made lava. Or water and ice, or ice and earth, and it made crystal. And like each form had a new ability. So it would probably be one of those 2 items.
Alex?
As a player, my favorite item I've ever gotten. That's a tough one. Would probably be so in the pirate campaign that I was a part of, I was playing like this sharpshooter sniper named Clint, and he was kind of this cross between like a Japanese aesthetic and a cowboy. And he ended up building this fucking basically this 50 cal sniper that he named after his family because like a bunch of shit had happened to his family. And so he built it and called it Sato's Vengeance. And that was just really cool because like watching the journey of building that gun and then just becoming like this ace sniper with it, it meant a lot to me. The other like one that's more of like a meme was my wizard that I played in Malik got this item. It was just a bird, like a little bird cage that had like a baby like chicken in it that like changed colors and shit, and it was called the magic cock. And when he would open that cage, he opened it like twice in the campaign, I think, because every time he opened it, just some cataclysmic event would happen that would like kill the person that he wanted to kill. Whether it was like the like an earthquake would strike and open up the like this like ravine, or like the sun would come down and like destroy this area. Like it was crazy, but it cost like an obscene amount of gold, which it should have. So like every time he opened it, the chicken would just like eat his gold pouch. But that was just really funny to have, especially because like he started walking around just being like, I will open this fucking cage.
The best part is he had an artificer next to him at all times that was like, don't open the cage.
But from a DM perspective, definitely my favorite magic item is Umbra, which is Atreus. The sword was actually called Umbra. And it was just really cool to build and design that with the player that played in it. Because like it was such a great story of a rise and fall of a hero that ended up like his whole character was just based on he wanted to rid the world of evil so badly he became evil and then trapped himself in the sword to finish his mission. And like his whole mentality of the character was, I will rid the world of evil, and once I have, like, I will cease to exist. Like it wasn't like one of those like, I'm gonna rid the world of evil and now like I get to live my life, because like he would have just he understood that once he kills all the evil, there would be one last evil, which is himself, and he would purge. And like seeing a player become something like that into a magical item was just such a different take that I as a DM had never seen before. Like a player had never become like, hey, at the end of this, I just want to become an item. And so like getting to play that into other campaigns where like another player picks it up and gets to start learning the story and getting to wield it has just been a really cool experience.
I think I'm gonna go for him again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, yeah, it's kind of a kick in the dick on all the progress that I made with him in the first Chronopolis. Kind of just went after we restarted, but now I know that I can do things differently and say things differently that'll hopefully get to where we were before, but in half the time, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sad. I want his other half, but I'll never get it.
Who? What?
You haven't heard of it. It's in a different campaign.
There's another sword that's...
There's another sword of justice, and that wants to purge evil. Just the complete opposite. It's a good version.
Well...
Nah, good in the sense of, like, if lawful. You put him next to Atreus, it's lawful.
Favorite character you've ever made? I know this kind of limits you, Ty, but...
It's a toss-up between Aka or Ryle. Aka was my intro character to D&D. It was just the fighter, the aesthetic. Viking aesthetic. I mean, and then Ryle's the full blown. I'm getting into D&D kind of thing. I'll say just because I really like that character, and I rewatched the Star Wars movies, the first 3, because my daughter really likes R2D2 right now for some reason. And I finally made the connection, and I think it's subconscious that I did this. Ryle plays and acts a lot like young Anakin Skywalker.
Absolutely.
Especially in Chronopolis 1. And I never realized I was
asshole.
Yeah, I never realized that before until I watched those movies again. And which is fine with me. I love Anakin's story. It's my favorite thing about Star Wars is Anakin's story.
I think it would be fine if you were going for that end of a story, but you're going to try and be like this fucking great hero. And
yeah. No, I don't want to be the same. I obviously have taken a lot of inspiration from it without realizing, but I think Ryle so far is my favorite character that I've made. Just because there's a lot of potential there that doing it second time around can be a lot different and hopefully better, especially with the character development. Akka was cool. He was just your average rough and tough fighter that was just basic and acted like a Chad. So, but that was also because I just started D&D and I didn't know how to play.
Yeah, I mean, I would, if without insulting you or like hurting any feelings.
Too late.
Fair enough. I like Akka more than I like Ryle because Akka was like it felt like a character where like you saw Akka do things and it was Akka doing it. I feel like we've really struggled on that path of Ryle, like breaking what Ty is doing versus what Ryle is doing. And like, granted, there's been some killer scenes with Ryle. But like we've kind of talked about, like I see you like get into it and then you see yourself getting into it and you're like, I gotta pull back.
Yeah.
And so that's been the struggle with Ryle is Akka, there wasn't that. You were kind of just bound, and I feel like a lot of it is like the online D&D, like you're not in person with us,
and
so
like
you're kind of
Akka
like
was just me. That was just me. There was no character. I was playing myself as a Viking guy in there. But Ryle, I'm playing somebody completely different than how I am as a person, and that's where it gets that disconnect.
Akka felt genuine, and that's probably why, and you just haven't figured out. And this isn't bad. Like, every player, I've struggled with this and everything, too. But, like, I feel like you've just struggled with trying to find the authenticity with Ryle.
Well, and I know that something that helps me is changing my language, like the way I speak. Like, not being like, oh, get fucked, or like the like new age lingo.
I've gotten better. Shut up.
My favorite character is a toss-up now, just because, Alex, you're creating my second favorite character. Between Adaris or Morgan.
Mm-hmm. You want to
just because, like,
a little bit about those characters so that people are just
yeah, I will.
Yeah, Morgan.
Adaris, it was a blacksmith who, like, in the beginning, before everyone knew, like, he had created weapons for basically an organization that was just massacring people because they hated them and they saw them as wrong. So basically, he was with a racist.
He was with the Nazis.
People, basically. And so, like, once he learned that, he basically left and was like, I need redemption for this. Like, I need the world to, like, forgive. I need the world's forgiveness. So basically, he traveled through this world and then eventually met one of Alex's characters, which was a young wizard, and through this, he like helping him grow. He learned like, hey, I've gotten this wizard's forgiveness. I can now get the world's forgiveness. And basically, he was creating weapons for like to help stop these people. Now, like he was creating inventions to help. Like he created like weapons, things to help people in everyday life. Like he created
all of that's well
this,
and good, and it sounds like a great backstory to him. I love the guy, but he is such a fucking asshole for no reason. He's just
a
a
reason.
There's a
dick.
reason.
No, he's not. There is a reason.
Okay,
So
he's an
not,
asshole for a reason.
So basically, the way he was set up was he does not care about people's feelings. He tells you how it is, doesn't sugarcoat it. He gives it to you straight. And he did it to Alex's character all the time. He'd be like, hey, you fucked up. This is how you fucked up. Fix it. And it wasn't like, oh, like I'm doing this to be a dick. It's like, no, I'm giving it to you straight so you know how it is so you can fix it. I'm not going to sit here and like play with you so that it takes long. He was like, hey, if I give it to you direct and straight, you're going to fix it faster than if I sugarcoat it. So through that, he was just very blunt and straightforward. And that was kind of his charm, was like, he's an asshole, yeah, but he's doing it. It's kind of like he's an asshole, but his heart's in the right place. Like, he was doing it to help people. He's kind of that character that's like, hey, I'm not going to sugarcoat things. I'm just going to tell you how it is.
I think that's why I don't like him too much, is because he's a lot like me in that regard.
Whereas, like, Morgan...
Don't you fucking shake your head in agreement, bitch.
The only difference is Adaris does it out of a place of love.
Hey! I love you!
Whereas Morgan is my favorite because, like, he's this spellblade that, like, grew up as the son of a pirate and was trying to seek this becoming a pirate this whole time, where his whole dream was just to have his own boat. And so he joined this group that he was told to join, and like immediately got screwed over by this group because they didn't tell him information.
Just get a cup.
And so like
just get a cup. That's all you gotta do.
So like they didn't tell him information, and so like he's been through his ups and his downs, like seeing like just the worst in life and being shown the best. And like it's becoming one of my favorite characters because now he's learning like his family heritage, like because he was adopted. He was in an orphanage. So now like he's learning where his family actually comes from. He's learning like the origins of his power. He's getting to know like the BBEG on a personal level rather than just being like, I'm going to kill you just to kill you. Like he's actually like, he's spared one of his generals because he's like, yeah, I can't kill this guy right now because like it's not right. And I think that's why he's becoming probably closer to my favorite character, because like he's not necessarily good, but he's not necessarily evil. He's just trying to give someone the best possible like death they can. Because like he's kind of like Luffy if you've like, because he all he wants to do is be free. And he wants to like show that freedom to others.
What about you, Alex?
My favorite characters would be a toss-up between Abduin or Clint.
Yeah.
Abduin was a conjuration wizard who started off in the world. It was the same world as Adaris. It was a world that hated wizards because like some warlocks had done some fuck shit. And this group called the Templars basically wanted to eradicate all magic. And so Abduin only knew a life of like on the run and having to hide the fact that he's a wizard. And so watching him grow from like a timid young wizard that had to hide to just walking out in the open as a wizard and being like, yeah, like if you're a Templar, come get me. Because I'm making waves. And all he wanted to do was end the war between the Templar and the Wizards because he wanted everyone to live free. and he learned some very powerful lessons, and it was a very heartfelt story of watching this guy just grow into one of the strongest wizards in the world. Also, I loved his fucking special move, which his signature move was just conjuring a fuck ton of bears on top of you to pin you down. And the other one was Clint, my sharpshooter. He grew up in this hidden island of like this hidden Japanese village. But his father was like a merchant and would always bring home these comic books of this cowboy called Ace the Ranger, and Clint fell in
Herbert
love with
Herring Dashwood.
Clint fell in love with that character and basically wanted to become it. And his brother taught him to shoot a gun, and it was this whole. It was a very different story because instead of like wanting to end a war or anything, all Clint wanted to do was find a girl to hang his hat up with, which is what he would always say. And so it was like just a journey of joining this pirate crew and like finding love and becoming the best shot in the world. And it was just very fun to play. And it's really fun to play him in Chronopolis again and see you guys like interact with him at his end game, where you guys get to kind of just like shoot the shit with him and drink with him.
Even though I let his nephew die.
Yeah. So I think Chronopolis though gives you guys an interesting take on it, where you guys do get to meet like other characters that have been in previous campaigns. But we'll skip that for now. The final question: what is your favorite class? Like, if you had to pick one class, and what is your least favorite class?
Fighting Man from D&D First Edition.
So I'll take this one since Ty is not taking it seriously. My personal favorite class is a toss-up between Wizard or Artificer.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Artificer just because it's kind of just that man of like, hey, I'm going to invent these most random, out-of-pocket stuff, like a flashbang or a compass that tracks the other. And then Wizard, because it's like, oh, like, it's that classic, like, Gandalf or, why am I forgetting the other? Dumbledore.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that apex of magic where you're like, once you get to that top, like, that max level, you're just practically unstoppable. Simply because of the arsenal you have access to when it comes to magic.
Mm-hmm.
That would be my favorite class. Do you say least favorite as well?
Mm-hmm.
So my least favorite, just because, like, this is just a personal thing, because I think the subclasses are so bad. Like, it was such a good idea, but such a bad execution, was Monk. Like, Monk is such a, like, when you think about it, you think, like, Avatar, you think, like, Rock Lee, if you're looking at, like, anime, Iron Fist from, like, DC, or I think that's Marvel. Iron Fist is Marvel.
Yep.
Like, you think of all these martial artists, which are, like, so cool, and then you look at the class, and it's so bad. So, like, I would say Monk. I want to play one just so, like, I can officially say, like, hey, I played a Monk, but it's so bad. Like, most of the class is just so bad.
Okay. Ty?
Well, I've technically only played two different ones. I played Fighter.
You don't have to have played them. You could love the idea of them. Like,
like I said, I've never played a Monk, but I hate the idea.
Even because it is one that I've played and I love the idea, is just the Paladin.
mm-hmm.
I love the idea of a Paladin. I love how they use holy magic to just smash everything in sight, and they're tanky, but they can also deal a lot of damage and stuff. I like them a lot. My least favorite, it's probably gonna be either a rogue or a bard.
Really?
Yeah, the
Why
rogue
is that?
in the fact that it's probably because it's the way people play rogues, and the fact that anything isn't nailed down, they're stealing it, whether it's gonna negatively affect the group or not, they're gonna steal it.
Or they're
And
edgy as fuck.
they're always super dark and edgy, and it's like, okay, cool, dude. Fucking every dude that's ever played a rogue has played the same way. I'm not saying they probably can't be played very good. That'd be
Yeah.
something to
But
experience.
the stereotype that's behind it.
Yeah. And bards, mostly because of they're just good at everything. Every bard that I've experienced is just good at everything. Every roll, every check, everything. They're just like, yeah, well, let's see you beat 6 dice added to 23. And
Fair.
shit like that. And the charisma checks, the insight checks, the pretty much every dice roll that isn't combat related, they're good at everything, and it just makes it insufferable to deal with sometimes.
See, I think that's why I like them too, though. Like, I'm having a blast with Delaware just because, like,
I like Delaware, and I like Delavash. They're really
in
well
roleplay,
played.
they're insufferable. But it's kind of the same thing for the player when it comes to combat. It's kind of insufferable to be in combat as a bard, just because their health pool sucks unless you max out their con.
They're a support class.
And yeah, like when it comes to combat, like if you get focused, you're fucked. But if you can have a team that'll keep them off you, you can. They thrive in combat too, which is nice. But as a support class, like they're good at healing, they're good at buffing, they're good at debuffing, they're good at like. But if you're looking for damage, yeah, you're not looking for that.
I think
class.
it's because
You're
I've
looking for
also
bard.
only had people that have played bards as like the leading man in combat. So they're good at their speechcraft and everything, but then for some reason they're also wiping the walls with everything around them in combat. Which
you played with Dal,
yeah,
because Delaware can't do that.
no,
Yeah,
I
Dal
assure
was
you.
broken.
But like that's the charm of Bard is like, hey, you want to play a class where like, yeah, you're not good at combat, but that's where the like cliche of they're the face of the party comes from, because when it comes to like talking, that's their specialty, and you witnessed that in like the bar session that we had. Like that's where like I don't know if you could tell, but I was having the most fun because I was finally able to actually role play rather than just be like, oh, I'm going to cast this spell. All right, I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not going to lie. I don't like bards when it comes to combat. I love them when it comes to roleplay, though.
Yeah.
I think my favorite class is I'm going to stay away from wizard just because, like, obviously that's my favorite just because, like, the concept of it. But it would be druid or warlock. Just because I love the aesthetic of those. First of all, I love the fact that druids can just fucking turn into animals. And I like that, like, classic cliche, like, someone from nature that, like, loves nature and wants to protect it, and they become the essence of nature. And then on the opposite, I love warlocks just because, like, for their aesthetic, the class is kind of... And sometimes... Like, don't get me wrong, it's very fun, but... The fact that like the class relies on one cantrip and one cantrip alone, I wish they would have
Eldritch Blast.
Yeah, I wish they would have
I
like
know that
allowed
one.
it. Good, proud of you.
Thanks.
I wish they would have allowed it to like flavor it better, where it's like you're not just relying on Eldritch Blast. Like they could have done something to like buff all cantrips instead of just like that one specific one. But that's neither here nor there. I like the concept of like a character being so desperate for either power or to fix a situation or something. So they sold their soul to something, or they made a deal with something, or, you know, whatever the case may be. My least favorite class, though, is probably the Ranger. And not
I
because,
forgot
like,
about the Ranger.
Not because the Ranger sucks or anything. Well, it does, but because I love the aesthetic of the Ranger, where you're either playing as like a Legolas like character or you're playing like a Aragorn like creature or Aragorn like character. But I just feel like the class itself is so underwhelming to play that, like, I tried playing one in one of Hunter's campaigns, and I'm just sitting there like, okay, I'm here. I feel like they could have made it a lot better. And
I tried to make it good for you.
No, and you did a good job, but I wish it was better rules as written.
Mm-hmm. Well, and the funny thing is they were even worse before they actually updated them.
Yeah.
The new one is a new updated one.
Mm-hmm. So those are mine. But
I forget Ranger exists most of the time. I'm not going to lie to you, and it's because they're so bad.
Yeah. But anyway, that was our D&D episode. Hope we didn't bore people too much. If you guys enjoyed
people who love
listening,
D&D will
yeah,
like this
people
one.
that liked it, and I think that's kind of the point of our podcast. Not every episode is going to resonate with every viewer. But it gives you guys a variety to be like, oh, you know what? I really want to listen to this episode. Or, we'll skip it and wait for next week. But if you enjoyed yourself, please like, comment, and subscribe. We're trying to get onto like Spotify and Apple Music and stuff so you guys can listen to us on the go without having to deal with all the YouTube mobile stuff. And let us know what you guys want to hear. Like if there's a certain topic you want to hear our take on, that would be great. Leave a comment and let us know. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok. I'll have the links somewhere. Probably on the YouTube page.
On the YouTube, on the Instagram and stuff like that. We have one post on the Instagram. It was from last week. But we'll be keeping
any
updated
pictures
on
we start we start updating, we'll post on the Instagram, because it's always a hassle to try and like listen in and then be like, oh, I want to see the picture. And when the editor, me being me, makes mistakes on like the episode where we're talking about something and didn't post the picture. But with that, we hope you guys enjoyed yourself. We hope you stay weird, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye-bye.
See ya.